What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sheehan and I am back with a review podcast, this time for One Fight Night 14 over on Amazon in the US and Canada. It was Stamp vs. Ham in the main event, but that does not tell the story of this wonderful card. I think it was 10 fights, 1 decision. It was absolutely incredible. 2 decisions. One of which was the Muay Thai, but the grappling. But what a card! What a card from top to bottom. I almost could spend 2 hours doing this, never mind a half an hour reviewing this card, because it was an absolutely fantastic one. A lot of news, I suppose, from it, and I suppose a lot of good wins for one championship. You know, the people who I suppose they would want to push, the likes of Stamp, the likes of Sundell, the likes of Danielle Kelly, the likes of Jingnan, the likes of John Lineker, all won, you know, pretty impressively. So an absolutely fantastic night for one championship, and do you know what, a fantastic night for the sport as well, because it was a pretty epic night. Now, these are one of those fights that are one of these events that you look at afterwards and you think, oh, I need to update my list for the event of the year awards after this, because it was that good, to be honest. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you're, as I said, Amazon Prime over in the US and Canada, but the whole thing is on YouTube here in Ireland, and I believe in the UK as well. So, you know, one do actually do a really good job of that, putting it on YouTube, and I think it's on their website as well for a minimal enough fee. So definitely want to check out. But if you don't want to do that, you just want to listen to me recap it, here we go. Let's do it. I'm going to start at the main event, because, you know, that was a fascinating main event entering the card, but also for what happened just before it. So just before the main event, Ajalaboon came out and relinquished her belt, announced her retirement, and talked about a new initiative that she will be starting to help people deal with mental health issues, people in sports and beyond, and all of that. And, you know, she spoke about her sister Victoria, who committed suicide at the turn of the year, and she spoke about that during the week as well. But she announced officially the retirement tonight. It was such a sad scene. It was one of those, I was watching it and I was kind of like, I was thinking to myself, I really hope this gives peace for a while, you know, because obviously the family and her brother and the whole family, when your sister, she was only a teenager, her sister, and when something like that happens, I thank God I've never gone through anything like that, but you can only imagine the heartbreak, and how much worse could it be when you have spotlight, you know, and she has a massive spotlight over there with all the one championship cards, you know, with when they walk out, you see the people holding the title, and she's one of them there, and everyone's kind of like, even me, I interviewed Chatri maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I kind of said to him, look, and I try to keep it as respectful as possible, but when is Christian, when is Angela Lee coming back? And I feel like putting those questions to bed for a while anyway is such a good decision. Like, I think if Angela Lee was to retire now, you know, I don't think anyone would ask for anything back from her. But maybe this is something that she, you know, that the family can go on, they can find peace for a while, and hopefully day by day things can improve. And maybe we'll see Angela Lee back, or maybe we'll see Christian Lee back. But maybe that's a chat for another day. But the main part is that, you know, that peace hopefully will be found for Angela and for the family as much as possible, you know, as much as possible in this really, really tough situation. And, you know, it was a beautiful moment with the crowd, I suppose, cheering her as she walked away. And then, you know, she came back and she was part of the main event and, you know, part of the commentary, which initially I was a bit like, oh, I don't know, is that the best decision? She kind of had a nice send-off, maybe leave it at that. But then I think she actually added a lot to it. She handed over the belt as well to Stamp at the end. So it was a nice moment there, and maybe a nice way to kind of to close it out like that. So all in all, I would hand it to One Championship. I think they did a good job of it. Maybe some people, or another way it could have been done was to do a kind of a package and leave the package as it was, as they kind of did, but they decided to do it live, and it worked out. And I think maybe Angela Lee wanted it that way, possibly. So I wouldn't fault them anyway for what happened. But having said that, so she relinquished the belt, and Stamp and Ham fought for the official belt. Obviously, they were initially fighting for the interim belt, but it turned into the main belt. So let's just go through the fight itself. Round one, Ham absolutely sprinted across the cage, and that was almost the last sprint in the fight from her, or from Stampy as well. Although we had a bit more from Stamp, there was just a lot of like hand fighting, but not the not the old school maybe Johnny Hendricks, Robbie Lawler hand fighting. There was a lot of just like, who is going to be able to reach for the jab first type of stuff, and it wasn't great. There was no action, and I just wonder, did that the Angela Lee announcement was, it was very tough to watch at home. If you're watching it there live, if you're sitting backstage, you're getting prepared for a fight, I can only imagine how tough that must have been. And maybe that played into it a little bit, right? Maybe it played into the slow start a little bit. It was a very emotional time, and I could definitely forgive them for that if that was part of it. But Ham landed a leg kick and a left hand midway through the round, then landed another left hand. Stamp landed a body kick. And, it was one of maybe 2 or 3 body kicks in the first round, and we'll see what happened afterwards, but smart. She was working the body, wasn't doing too much, wasn't landing too much, but got that, and it paid off in the end. There was a hard left hand by Ham then towards the last minute or two of the round, followed by a hard right hand, but a much slower pace than what Ham would have wanted, and a much slower pace than what she usually fights. Now, they made the case in commentary, and probably rightly so, that she is a striker that's used to fighting people who are wanting to take her down, and she knew Stamp wouldn't take her down, so she adjusted her game. Now, I'm not sure if that's the best thing. Like, her game and what she's best at is, I think, bringing the storm. And she didn't do it. She didn't bring the storm. She really, really didn't. And it allowed Stamp, I think, to work her way into the fight, and she did that very, very well. But at the end of the first round, you would have said, this is not the pace Ham wants to be fighting at, but she's still winning. And I think that was the case. In the second round, Stamp started way quicker. And obviously this fight, and all the fights apart from the Muay Thai, are scored as a whole. Not round by round. Stamp started with a flurry of kicks in the second round. Ham just seemed a little bit off the pace then. So she was fighting at a slower pace, Stamp up the pace, and it feels like Ham just couldn't kind of find that pace. Some more nice kicks from Stamp. Ham did check a couple of them, but there was kind of leg, body, head type of things from Stamp, and they were very, very nice. Ham clinched immediately then after those leg kicks started to kind of add up, but Stamp fought it off pretty well and landed a nice combo after it, and I think there was one shot that changed his fight a little bit from that point. Stamp, up to that point, she was kind of landing all her shots offensively. Then she landed a counter right hand at one stage, and I think it changed the way Ham fought a little bit. And there wasn't as much offense because I think she was a little bit wary of that counter right hand coming again. And Stamp then was able to open up a little more. She landed 2 hard leg kicks, 2 more kicks straight afterward, and then Ham actually countered her with a straight left and knocked her down. Now, it was a big knockdown, and everyone, it was a knockdown, and everyone reacted to it. I think it was more kind of an off balance. She hit her hard. I think she was off balance and fell back. I don't think she was badly hurt. I don't think, like, if Stamp was just allowed to stand up and walk by herself, I don't think she would have been stumbling or anything. I don't think it was one of them, but it was a good knockdown, and it was because Stamp got aggressive. Ham landed on top then, but there was just nothing from her there. Stamp almost went for more. The second armbar looked like it could have been on. Didn't get a great replay of it, so I'm not sure. The first one definitely wasn't, but a good closeout, I suppose, for Stamp there. Started the third then. Ham was cage clinching here. So she'd kind of given up on the striking. There wasn't much for takedowns in the middle of the cage to try to push her against the defense. Stamp kind of got free, immediately landed a right hand. And once she did that, it did feel like everything that's Ham had to throw at her, she'd thrown at her. She tried to take her down. She tried to push her against the cage. She tried to be aggressive. She tried to counter. None of it was really working. Like, it was working a little bit, but was not as working as well as what Stamp had done. And then Stamp threw that lovely right hand to the body. And it was more the solar plexus, I think, than the liver. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe watching it again, we'll see that. And dropped her with it and hit her with a second one as she went down, and the referee came in and stopped it as Ham kind of turned over and winced in pain. And a lovely finish for Stamp. But, I picked Ham coming in. But I was sorely mistaken, and even if this body shot hadn't landed, I think Stamp was on the way to winning anyway, if I'm being honest. I think even though the early parts of the fight were won by Ham, I think Stamp was beginning to land the bigger shots, the more hard for shots, and when the fight is scored as a whole as well. I think it was definitely going her way. So a very good performance, a performance that got better and better throughout the fight. Plus, she gets the finish, and it was absolutely massive. So, fantastic win for Stamp. She is the new strawweight champion over in one championship, and she thoroughly deserves it. She's been on an insane run. I saw Rebecca Hitman tweeting about it as well, that it's more impressive than anything she's done in the other sports. And I feel like with Stamp as well, and the reason I kind of picked against her was I wasn't sure was her progression there yet, but it is. It really is. She looked sensational in there tonight. I believe, like, and do you know what? The one thing I don't like about one sometimes is when the refs warn them for action too much, especially in a 5-round title fight. Let them fight it a bit, like, and I'm all for action, as everyone knows when I talk about the judging criteria and all. But let them fight it out a bit, especially early. If there's no action in this 3rd, 4th round, absolutely warn them. But I think she, as I said, worked her way into the fight and intelligently did it as well. So a very, very good performance there from Stamp. And a star is born, because she is really a star. She does the dance, and she's fun and exciting, and is a good look and all of that. So I think it's really, really good for one championship. And she came out afterwards and she was like, Angela Lee was my idol, and I'm, delighted to have the title that she held and all. And obviously after fighting Angela before in her career, absolutely massive. So brilliant, and a great win for Stamp there. It was one of 4 women in 4 different fights on the main card in 4 different disciplines, which was very interesting. The second one was the Muay Thai. Smilla Sundell against Allycia Rodrigues, and by God, was Sundell impressive. Now, everyone knows, me with the Muay Thai. I like watching it, and maybe I don't have as much knowledge on Muay Thai as I have on MMA or anything, but I watch it and I enjoy it. And Sundell, maybe my favourite Muay Thai fighter, if I'm being a little bit biased there. She's only 18 years of age, which I didn't know until afterwards. Absolutely fantastic. She just came out. She actually said she had a slow start, even though she came out and threw about 30 punches in the first 10 seconds of the fight. Rodrigues was not landing as many, but she was probably landing a little bit harder throughout parts of the first round. Left hook from Rodrigues put a swelling on the face of Sundell. And then Rodrigues started pushing her back a little bit. Sundell rocked her bad, though, with a left hook towards the end of the first round. And it looked before that as if all the power was from Rodrigues and Sundell would have to beat her with pace or whatever. But after that, it was like, maybe not actually. She can beat her with pace and power, as showed. Insane pace at the start of the second, landing a lot with Sundell. Rodrigues was not landing like she landed in round 1. She just wasn't landing the power shots that she landed in round 1 at all. Definitely a Sundell round there. Round 3, the clinch by Rodrigues is what she went for here, but she kept getting hurt on the break by the left hook. There was a bit of an elbow there at one stage. Rodrigues was constantly clinching, but Sundell was winning it. And she was winning it up until she hit her and hurt her and put a barrage on her towards the end of that third round. I think what was left in it, only 2 seconds? Yeah, 2 seconds of the third round left, and the referee came in and stopped. And I think he was right, because Rodrigues was getting tired and there was nothing coming back, and those shots were adding up. So a great win there for Sundell. And if you're not maybe a big fan of Muay Thai, that'd be a good fight to get you into it. Really, really good win there. Then the grappling, we had Danielle Kelly against Jessa Khan. Maybe not the best grappling match I've had in a while, and obviously when I always describe the grappling, I always say, bear with me here, do I really know what's going on here? But I thought Kelly was very aggressive early. She pushed her against the cage. Jessa Khan pulls guard, but Kelly kind of just held her up with that body triangle. There was a few leg attacks from Jessa, but she couldn't get past the knee line. There wasn't much there, kind of a 50-50 then at one stage, before Danielle Kelly got on top. Khan tried a knee bar, but Kelly easily kind of moves to top again. But then she got reversed. Jessa Khan got the back, and I looked at that stage like, oh, this could be over. She looked like she was getting the arm under across the chin, under the chin, across the neck at one stage, but she didn't. Turned it into a face crank, but she didn't really have that either. Kelly then did a great job of getting out, kind of wormed her way out, got on top, and then she got a toe hold catch, which the referee called the catch, so that counted and that put her ahead. Jessa got on top after that, but they stood up. It was a body triangle again against the cage that didn't really come to much. Lovely trip from Kelly then. She got on top. Jessa attacked the legs late, but there was nothing there, no good. And Danielle Kelly ended up taking the belt, and I think deservedly. So after that, not the best in the world, but a good win for Kelly, who I believe had lost to Khan before. I think the oddest fight of the night was definitely Jingnan against Wonder Girl. It was basically a boxing match. They had shoes on. There was no kicks, no takedowns. You were allowed to clinch apparently, but then they went to a clinch at one stage and the referee just immediately broke it up. So I don't know. There was no real spinning back fists or anything like that. There was a few back fists maybe like this, or a few hammer fists. There was a few punches to the back of the head throughout the fight, but it was just odd. Yeah, I don't think this... I like the mixed rules fights, but maybe not these rules. I don't think they made much sense, but... I thought it was real low quality, to be honest. Now, Jingnan is a very good fighter. I've talked about her many times before. But her style is kind of, full on. She goes forward, whales her shots in. But the thing about that is, in MMA, when that happens, you can get into a clinch, or maybe you can take someone down, or you can turn a position from it, or turn around and throw an elbow, or throw a kick inside. Well, you can't really do that in boxing, so it just turns into someone with their head down, whiffing shots inside, and it didn't look aesthetically great now, to be honest. Something that would work in mixed martial arts, as I said, but not really in this. And I thought Wonder Girl was actually getting the better of it. I think she was the faster fighter. She was landing the better jabs, better combinations. Jingnan was throwing the hooks. Landed a couple, but not a lot. It was a lot of head down stuff. And Rich Franklin, and I saw a few people actually were favouring Jingnan, but not me, to be honest. The second though became closer, and I think the pace was suiting Jingnan. And it kind of turned it into a war of attrition, and Wonder Girl, I don't think, was able for that, to be honest. Now, the second was close, but the third really wasn't. There was exchanges early. Jingnan throwing harder. But again, I thought Wonder Girl was landing a little bit better, but then, and Jingnan was landing almost nothing. But either was Wonder Girl. And I think that was the problem. When she started to get tired, Jingnan just didn't. And then she landed a few hard shots late. And ended up getting the finish with a few seconds left as well. I think the ref was right to come in and stop it. I think Wonder Girl was so tired at that stage. I think she was taking a few unanswered shots against the cage. So, yeah, I don't think it was the most aesthetically pleasing custom rules fight ever. I really like the other ones. I really like the Rodtang Dmitry one, but this one, no, not for me. Maybe they need to tweak it a little bit. So yeah, but a good win for Jingnan, and she will go back, and I'm sure we'll be fighting in MMA next. Then we had the epic between John Lineker and Stephen Loman. Really, really enjoyed this fight. Round 1, John Lineker was coming out and pressuring more than he has lately. Now, people are probably thinking, Sean, what are you talking about? John Lineker always pressures. But if you watch his latest fights, maybe not that he hasn't been pressuring, but he hasn't been pressuring well. Now, he didn't pressure brilliantly here, but I think he did pressure a lot more than he has recently. Loman was just kicking all areas. He was kicking the legs, he was kicking high, he was kicking low. John Lineker was throwing these big hooks like old, and it really did look like a bit of a vintage John Lineker performance here, which was a lot of huffing and maybe not a lot of landing until he did, and then he hurt you. Loman got a takedown about 80 seconds in, got into half guard, took the back. John Lineker got on top, but Loman got up, and there was a clinch battle for a while, and then they kind of exchanged leg kicks in the end of a fun first round. Round 2, just very messy round 2. I'm not talking up this fight as well as I did at the start, but it was a good first round and a messy second round, but a good third round in. There's a few, like a barrage, a load of failed takedowns from Loman. A few straight lefts were landed, but then there was a clash of heads. Very little landing after that. Loman started to get aggressive, which allowed John Lineker to land a few. And that was a brilliant part of the fight for John Lineker. But then there was an eye poke, which kind of broke the momentum again. Loman got a nice kick to the body and then landed a right hand. Lineker really wasn't landing anything lovely until a lovely left hook. Basically, the only one he landed when going forward. All of the shots he was landing were kind of counters. So him going forward didn't really land any until that one late, and then a more came. He landed another left hook then as Loman was entering, and then a knee from Loman late was another nice shot. In the third round, nice right hand from John Lineker. Then the body to head shot from Lineker was good. I think Loman slowed down maybe a little bit, and Lineker was fine in that range. Then there was a low blow. He stopped the takedown, and then there was a low blow. Loman landed a couple of head kicks. Lineker landed a combination, a few jabs from Loman. Loman almost got a takedown, but John Lineker got on top and got in half guard. Up quick again. Lineker was kind of jeering him late, but he didn't land anything. And Loman, I thought, landed 3 shots straight down the middle. Very close fight. Lineker got the win. Honestly, I think I probably would have leaned to Loman if I'm being honest. But again, fight scored as a whole, does it really give us a clear winner as opposed to the 10-by-month system? I would say not, but a good fight. Maybe I didn't do it justice there, and maybe I enjoyed it more than the facts would say about it. But yeah, good win for John Lineker, and he'll probably get a title shot again now after that, I would say. Then we had a Muay Thai bout between Dmitry, Menshikov and Rungrawee. This was probably the most impressive performance of the night. Dmitry was just an absolute animal. Rungrawee landed some lovely leg kicks early, and then he landed some arm kicks. Just absolutely reddened up the arm of Dmitry. Huge uppercut from Dmitry, though, was the turning point in this. He got 2 knockdowns after that. Then Rungrawee absolutely rocked him with a straight left, but then Dmitry got another knockdown and a knockout. The first one was a right hand after a combo. The second was a kind of a right hand and he fell in stages. And the third one then was an uppercut that finished him. It was a brutal fight. That only went, and when I say brutal, I mean brutally good. That only went for 2.5 minutes-ish. And fantastic. This Menshikov is an absolute monster altogether and destroyed Rungrawee, really a destruction. So that was very good. Then we had Eduard Folayang and Amir Khan. Eduard Folayang has been around for a long time, but by God, was there some gas in the old dog? Absolutely brilliant. Khan came out and he was the fan favourite, in Singapore. And he looked good early, landing a hard job. Folayang just wasn't moving. He wasn't himself. Khan was light on his feet, light on his toes, landed a lovely leg kick. He was coming forward a bit and landing. Folayang was coming forward a bit and landing, but the jab of Khan was just better. Folayang got a takedown after the kick, but he kind of let him up straight away. There was a left hook from Khan. Then there was a clinch from Folayang, but he got out quick again. Not much late. Definitely a Khan round there if you were scoring it round by round. They exchanged leg kicks early, and I think that was interesting because I felt like Khan was winning that reach battle in the first, but when they landed at the same type of range. I think that was kind of advantage Folayang at that stage, and he started to land better shots. Can was getting his jab out and he was landing his double jab, and when he did that, he was doing well and controlling the range, but wasn't happening as much in the second round, and I think he was getting a little bit too picky with his shots. I think he was doing too well in the first round and thought he could kind of coast, and I definitely think he was coasting in the third, but Herb was kind of getting him at him to work in the second round. They were throwing a lot of shots but not landing, I think, until Can wobbled him with a left hook in the last 10 seconds. That was a very, very good shot. And as I said, in the third, Can was just coasting. Folayang was getting closer and hitting the body. And then it came, there was a 1-2 that didn't land, and then a big left hook after it knocked him down hard, and then a coffin nail on the ground knocked him out. And I think Folayang just stayed in there and ended up getting the finish. There was a lot of late finishes in this one and a very, very good one there. So, Can look to be the better fighter throughout, but Folayang, the old dog for the hard road, and went in there and got the finish. The same could be said for Cerilli in the next fight, and definitely not for Elliott, I think, anyway, early, although he did get injured, so the fight ended with an arm injury after round one. I wonder when it happened. I wonder did it happen when Paul Elliott was throwing a big shot early, maybe, because it was wild early, both were thrown. There seemed like there was a clash of heads in there or something, but maybe it was him pulling his arm out. But Cerilli got the pressure and the clinch, an easy takedown into the half guard, got the Dagestani handcuff. Maybe it happened there, actually. But he did very little for ages, landed a few to the body, few to the face, not much. Could have been stood up, I think, at one stage. Got side control for the last 30 seconds, and there was absolutely nothing at all in side control until he landed a big elbow late and cut Elliott open. But I think Elliott would have been able to continue, but the arm was injured, and they stopped it between rounds. So another win for Cerilli there, and a loss for Elliott. I think Cerilli probably would have won it anyway, even though I picked I picked Cerilli first, and then I turned my back and I picked Elliott as one of my bets of the week. But obviously that didn't happen, and the arm injury ends it there. Then we had Sitsongpeenong against Rambolek, which was very fun Muay Thai. Rambolek, only 20 years of age. They both stunned each other immediately with right hands. It was unreal. Rambolek was throwing bombs, huge spinning elbow from Sitsongpeenong, who was landing the better, I think, in the first round. Sitsongpeenong drew blood with the right hand, and the elbow that had landed earlier definitely helped. The spinning elbow. Picked his shots better than after that, definitely round one for Sitsongpeenong. Rambolek landed a load of leg kicks, and he landed a lot in round one actually as well. Sitsongpeenong got more aggressive, but he was still eating them. There was an eye poke then from Sitsongpeenong, and it was turned into kind of a war after that big right hand for Sitsongpeenong. Then there was 6 or 7 punches and a knee combo from Sitsongpeenong. Close enough round, but I think he looked good in it. And then another third round finish, big right hand, and then a kick as he fell from Sitsongpeenong. A lovely, lovely, lovely finish there. Very smooth and very violent as well. And in the opening fight of the night was between Blake Cooper and Maurice Abevi in MMA. Abevi, who was the striker, was landing long right hands. Cooper, who was the wrestler, was hitting the body, and he was kind of storming for takedowns. But this was very much a great example of how a long striker beats a guy who just wants to wrestle and who just wants to clinch you. Abevi defended well for the takedown against the cage. A really prolonged aspect of clinching here. Cooper was just relentless with his cage takedown attempts, but they were no good. Goody Abevi body kicks when they broke, but he got too close a few times and he got clinched again. But the longer it went, the easier he got out. The better takedown defense he showed, the easier it was, and he landed some nice kicks and nice punches. There was one Cooper shot, but Abevi put in a barrage, hurt him with a big elbow, and he stopped him late in round one. And it really was a show of how a one-dimensional wrestler is going to get beaten by a talented striker, and that's really what happened in that one. And Abevi got the win. So that was the card in totality. A really, really good card. I'll just run through the results again. In the opening fight of the night, Maurice got the TKO in round 1 with elbows and punches. Round 3 went in for Sitsongpeenong in the Muay Thai against Rambolek. Mauro Cerilli beat Paul Elliott with a doctor stoppage after round 1 with the arm injury. Eduard Folayang got the left hook round 3 finish over Amir Khan. There was a KO for Dmitry Menshikov in the Muay Thai against Rungrawee. John Lineker beat Stephen Loman by unanimous decision. Jingnan beat Wonder Girl in the custom rules boxing. Basically, Danielle Kelly outpointed Jessa in the grappling. Smilla Sundell finished Allycia Rodrigues in the third round of the one flyweight championship Muay Thai fight, and the one strawweight champion is now stamped Fairtex after she beat Seo Hee Ham for the belt vacated moments before by Angela Lee. All right, everyone, we will leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.